Hello, I'm the Swedish game dev. In this video we're going to check out how to create a simple map for a role-playing game like Call of Cthulhu or any other modern RPG. We'll be using the app Procreate, but I am in no way sponsored. But if Procreate, if you want to sponsor me, go ahead and do it. Okay, let's get started creating this map for Call of Cthulhu. The first thing we want to do is to click the wrench icon up in the left corner and click on Canvas and then click on the button for Drawing Guide. This will present a drawing guide that looks like a grid, and it will be very helpful for us when we are creating this map. This grid won't be in the final image, but if you want a grid to put tokens on and stuff, don't worry, we'll cover that in the end of the video. Okay, let's get started by sketching the outline of the house. A very helpful function in Procreate for our mapping purposes is the shape creation tool. When you draw out a line and then hold your pencil still, it will create a straight line. And you can also do this to create circles and squares and other shapes. And we will use this feature to sketch the outline of our house. And with the outline done, we will continue sketching and drawing out the rooms and the doors and some simple shapes for furnitures. Sketching is for generating ideas, so you should really take your time with this step and try to draw a cool cabin that can be haunted for some reason in your Call of Cthulhu adventures. So think about what kind of rooms you want. In my cabin I decided to draw a bathroom and a bedroom and a combined living room and a kitchen. And I guess this is kind of late Call of Cthulhu because there is a TV, but I just liked the vibe of the players being able to get into the living room and there's a haunted TV that shows spooky images like that. It can be a radio also, of course, but I wanted it to be a TV. So have fun creating your sketch and use the shape creation feature. When you want straight lines, just pull out the line and hold. And you can also manipulate the line if you hold down your pencil and then draw it around the canvas. So play around and create a sketch of your map. And when you have a sketch for your cabin, it's time to go on to the inking phase. So we'll take advantage of the digital magic and we will create a new layer on top of our sketch layer and use this as our first inking layer. And because I want maximum control, I am creating separate inking layer for separate elements of the map. So the first inking layer is going to be for the house outline. And this is just because I want to be able to control it, and if I want to change it, I don't have to erase all of my drawing. And then I repeat this process. I create a new layer for the inner walls, and I make sure to adjust the size of my pen so that the inner walls are a little bit thinner than the outer walls. And then I repeat this process one final time, create a new layer where I draw the furniture. And I try not to be too much of a perfectionist while drawing these furnitures, because I think that the little mistakes in a hand-drawn map is what makes a hand-drawn map worth it. Otherwise you can create a vector map, and maybe we will do that in a future video. But I try to keep my happy little accidents, as Bob Ross would have said. But sometimes for shapes that just annoy you, like circular shapes for tables and stuff like that, I use the shape creation tool. So I draw a circle and then hold my pen to create the shape. And also I take advantage of the fact that you can copy and paste things in Procreate. So I cut some furniture and paste them so I don't have to waste time drawing something that looks okay already. And I make sure not to blindly just follow the sketch, because then the drawing will look quite stiff. So I will just use my sketch as a base and then draw out my furniture from there. But make sure not to be too quick in this step, because it will really affect the outcome of your map if you take your time drawing this step. And when we're done doing this, we will add some finishing touches to make the map look extra cool. And one very simple step you can take to make your map look cooler is to download a free paper texture image. I used Pixabay, but you can use Pascals or any other image sites. Just make sure that you are allowed to use the image. And then I click the wrench icon up in the left corner and I click add and add a photo. And then I just drag the photo on a layer beneath our ink layers to give the map a paper feeling. And it's a really simple thing to do, but really makes all the difference in the final result. And when we have positioned our paper texture, it's time to take some final steps to make it look extra cool and add some halftone and dot effects. To create these special effects, I am using some custom brush sets, and the one I used is a paid one called IGB Vintage Ink. But you can also use the retro supply companies steal this brush pack, and I will put a link in the description to a video that enables you to download this brush pack if you subscribe to their mailing list. By the way, I am not sponsored, but hey, Retro Supply Co., email me. I use the dot brushes and the halftone brushes on some of the furniture, and also to create some shadows in the stairs leading down to the basement and around all of the furniture, just to create some cool contrast and make the map look cool. Because as game masters, we want our players to have a cool experience, and this is just a simple little way to give that to them. So take your time and design your map so that it looks amazing, and also make sure to use the selection tools in Procreate. But for example, if you make a selection around the furniture, then you can draw with your brush without worrying to hit other areas that you don't want to draw on. So just use the selection tool, choose freehand and draw on top of your furnitures, and then paint away with your halftones and your dots. And when we're done with this step, we're just gonna add a grid, and then we're done. And I want to be able to create separate versions of the map, one with a grid and one without a grid, depending on how I'm going to use it. So I will create a new layer on top of everything, and I will lower the opacity using the N key on the layer and lowering the opacity, and then I will use sketching pen for this because it makes for a pretty cool look in my opinion. And then I will use the shape creating ability of Procreate. I will draw out my lines using the grid, the drawing grid that we created in the beginning as a guide for creating our battle map grid. I just pull out the lines and then I hold to make it straight, and then I do this over and over and over again until all the squares are created. And when we're done with this, our battle map is done. And voila, our map is done. I hope you had fun watching this video, and I hope that you got inspired to create your own maps for Call of Cthulhu or other RPGs in Procreate. And I hope to see you soon in another video. Bye.